She played the perfect stepmother for 6 months. Then I caught her in my office stealing company secrets. When I confronted her, she smiled and said she'd destroy everything I build unless I paid $8 million. But what she did to my daughter Emma was far worse. My name is Michael Sullivan. I'm 42 years old, and I run one of the largest fitness equipment manufacturing companies in the Midwest. We specialize in making high-end treadmills, weight machines, and rehabilitation equipment for gyms, physical therapy centers, and professional sports teams. It wasn't always easy building this business from scratch, but after 15 years of blood, sweat, and countless late nights, I created something I was genuinely proud of. Started in my garage with just one prototype and a dream. Now we've got 3 factories and over 300 employees. The thing about success is that it makes you a target. I just didn't realize how big of one until it was almost too late. I met Rebecca Turner at a charity gala for children's hospitals. She was volunteering at the silent auction table, wearing this stunning navy blue dress that made her eyes sparkle like sapphires. At 38, she had this warmth about her that drew me in immediately. She laughed at my terrible jokes about exercise equipment and seemed genuinely interested when I talked about Emma, my 14-year-old daughter. "You're such a devoted father," she'd said, touching my arm gently. "That's so rare these days. Emma's lucky to have you." Those words meant everything to me. See, my ex-wife Sarah had left 2 years earlier, running off with her tennis instructor of all people. Classic midlife crisis stuff. Said she felt trapped, needed to find herself. Emma chose to stay with me, and we've been navigating life as a duo ever since. I've been so focused on keeping the business running and making sure Emma adjusted well that I hadn't even thought about dating. Rebecca changed that. She told me her story over dinner a week later at this quiet Italian place downtown. Her ex-husband had left her because she couldn't have children. He said I was broken, she whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. All I ever wanted was to be a mother. We tried everything. IVF, fertility treatments, adoption agencies. Nothing worked out. My heart went out to her. Here was this beautiful, seemingly genuine woman who'd been dealt such a rough hand. The way she talked about wanting kids, it was with such longing, such raw pain. I found myself wanting to protect her, to give her the family she'd always dreamed of. "I bet you'd be amazing with Emma," I said without thinking. Her face lit up like Christmas morning. "You really think so?" What I didn't know then was that I was walking straight into a carefully constructed trap. But that's the thing about predators. They know exactly what their prey wants to hear. The first few months with Rebecca felt like something out of a movie. She had this way of making everything feel special, like we were living in our own little bubble. She'd show up at my office with lunch, surprise Emma with her favorite snacks after school, and always seemed to know exactly what to say when either of us had a rough day. "I've never seen you this happy, Dad," Emma said one evening while we were cooking dinner. Rebecca was coming over, and Emma had insisted on making her special spaghetti recipe. "Yeah? You doing okay with all this?" I asked, trying to read my daughter's face. 14 is a tricky age, and I knew bringing someone new into our lives could be complicated. Emma smiled, stirring the sauce. "She's different from Mom. She actually listens when I talk about school stuff, and she doesn't treat me like I'm just some kid in the way." That meant the world to me. Sarah had always been more interested in her social life than in Emma's soccer games or science projects. Rebecca, on the other hand, showed up to everything. She'd sit in the bleachers cheering louder than any other parent, and she'd help Emma with her homework without being asked. 3 months in, Rebecca started staying over more frequently. She'd already decorated the guest room with her things, and her toothbrush had found a permanent spot in my bathroom. One morning, I found her in the kitchen making breakfast, humming softly while she flipped pancakes. "This feels right," she said, catching me watching her. Like I finally found where I belong. I pulled her close, breathing in the scent of her vanilla shampoo. "I know exactly what you mean, but there were moments that gave me pause. Like when we ran into my business partner, Steve, at a restaurant. Rebecca immediately started asking him about company profits and expansion plans. When Steve politely deflected, she pressed harder. "I'm just curious about Michael's world," she said sweetly. "Want to understand what keeps him so busy." Or the time she suggested we should get joint bank accounts to make things easier when we go out. When I hesitated, she looked hurt. "Don't you trust me?" she asked, her eyes welling up. I thought we were building something real here. I felt guilty for doubting her. After all, she'd been nothing but wonderful to Emma and me. She talked constantly about wanting to be a family, about how Emma was the daughter she'd always dreamed of having. "I want to give her everything she needs," Rebecca would say. "Show her what it's like to have a mother who truly cares." My lawyer brain tried to raise red flags, but my heart kept overruling it. This woman had brought joy back into our home. Emma was smiling more. I was happier than I'd been in years. Surely those little concerns were just my past trauma making me paranoid. "You're overthinking things," I told myself. "Not everyone's like Sarah. Rebecca's different. She's genuine." Looking back now, I realize those moments of doubt were my instincts trying to protect me. But love has a way of making you blind to things you don't want to see. 6 months into our relationship, Rebecca dropped the marriage bomb. We were at Emma's soccer championship game when she brought it up. Emma had to score the winning goal, and we were both cheering like crazy. "She needs stability," Rebecca said, squeezing my hand. "A real family unit. Don't you think it's time we made this official?" I looked at her, surprised by the timing. "Are you proposing to me at a soccer game?" She laughed, but her eyes were serious. "I'm saying that Emma deserves to have a complete family, and I want to be her mother, officially." The thing is, she wasn't wrong. Emma had been thriving with Rebecca around. Her grades were up, she was more confident, and she'd even started calling Rebecca her bonus mom when talking to friends. That night, after Emma went to bed, Rebecca and I had a long talk. She painted this picture of our future together: family vacations, helping Emma through high school, maybe even trying for a child of her own through adoption. "I know my body failed me," she said, her voice breaking, "but my heart hasn't. I have so much love to give, Michael. To you, to Emma, to the family we could build together." I made a decision that night. Not the proposal itself. That came 2 weeks later at Rebecca's favorite restaurant. But the decision to trust again, to believe that not every relationship was doomed to end like my first marriage. When I got down on one knee, the joy on Rebecca's face was something to behold. She cried, said yes 3 times, and kissed me like her life depended on it. The whole restaurant applauded. Emma was thrilled when we told her. "Does this mean I get to be in the wedding?" she asked excitedly. "You'll be my maid of honor," Rebecca promised, hugging her tight. "If that's okay with you." The wedding planning started immediately. Rebecca threw herself into it with impressive energy. She wanted a spring wedding, something elegant but not too flashy. She included Emma in every decision, from flowers to cake flavors. But that's when the first real red flag appeared. Rebecca suggested we should update my will before the wedding. "It's just practical," she said when I hesitated. "We're going to be a family. Everything should be properly arranged for Emma's future." She had a point, but something fell off about her urgency. When I mentioned setting up a trust for Emma instead of direct inheritance, Rebecca's smile tightened. "Don't you trust me to take care of her if something happens to you?" she asked, hurt creeping into her voice. "Of course I do," I assured her. "But trusts are standard for protecting minors' assets." She dropped it, but I caught her on my computer a few days later, looking at my business contracts. When I asked about it, she said she was just curious about what I'd built. "I want to understand every part of your life," she said. Is that wrong? Maybe it wasn't, but the feeling in my gut said otherwise. The wedding was beautiful. Rebecca looked stunning in her dress. Emma was radiant as maid of honor. And for a few hours, I let myself believe we were starting our happily ever after. Rebecca had insisted on a medium-sized affair. Not too small, not too grand. About 150 guests, mostly business associates and family. Steve, my business partner, pulled me aside during the reception. "You sure about this, Mike? Seems awful fast." "When you know, I said, watching Rebecca dance with Emma. They were laughing, Rebecca teaching her some complicated step. Steve didn't look convinced. "Just watch your back, okay?" Something feels off about her questions lately. She's been asking me about company valuations, buyout clauses. I brushed off his concerns. Steve had always been paranoid about gold diggers since his own messy divorce. Besides, Rebecca came from money herself, or so she told me. Her family had real estate holdings in California. The honeymoon was in Hawaii, 2 weeks of paradise. Rebecca had insisted Emma come with us for the first week. "We're a family now," she said. "We should start as we mean to continue." It was actually perfect. We snorkeled, hiked, and spent lazy days on the beach. Emma bonded with Rebecca even more. and I felt like the luckiest man alive. But when Emma flew home to stay with my parents for the second week, Rebecca's demeanor shifted slightly. She became more interested in talking about business expansion, suggested I should consider taking the company public. "Think of the opportunities," she said over dinner one night. "You could triple your net worth in a year." "I like having control of my company," I replied. "Going public means answering to shareholders." She reached across the table, taking my hand. "I just want what's best for our family, for Emma's future. College is expensive, and we might want to adopt." Always bringing it back to family. It was hard to argue with that logic. When we returned home, Rebecca moved into the master bedroom officially. She'd been staying over so much that half her things were already there, but now it was permanent. She immediately started redecorating. Nothing major, just adding feminine touches, as she put it. One evening, I came home to find her in my home office, reorganizing my files. "What are you doing?" I asked, trying to keep my voice neutral. "Oh, honey, you scared me," she laughed. "I'm just trying to help. Your filing system is a disaster. I thought I'd organize things better." She'd already gone through several drawers, including the one where I kept sensitive business documents. "Those are confidential," I said firmly. "Company information that even Emma doesn't see." Her face fell. "I'm your wife now, Michael. I thought we didn't have secrets. I'm just trying to help you be more efficient." She left the office, but I spent that night putting new locks on certain drawers. Trust but verify, as they say. I told myself I was being overly cautious, that marriage required adjustment. But Steve's words echoed in my head. "Watch your back." The cracks in our perfect family image started showing about 3 months after the wedding. It was subtle at first. Rebecca's attitude toward Emma began shifting when I wasn't around. Emma mentioned it casually one day after school. "Rebecca was weird today," she said, grabbing a snack from the kitchen. "She forgot to pick me up from practice, and when she finally came, she seemed annoyed. Maybe she just had a busy day," I offered, though something twisted in my gut. "Yeah, maybe," Emma shrugged. "But she's been forgetting a lot lately, and she doesn't help with homework anymore." I confronted Rebecca that evening. She was in my office again, laptop open, surrounded by company documents. "Emma said you forgot to pick her up today." I started carefully. Rebecca didn't even look up. "She can take the bus. She's 14, not 4. You volunteered for pickup duty." She waited an hour. Finally, she closed the laptop, sighing dramatically. "I was handling important business matters, Michael. Real responsibilities. Not playing taxi driver." "Playing taxi driver? She's your daughter now, remember?" Her eyes flashed. "Stepdaughter. And I'm doing more important things for this family than driving carpool. Do you have any idea how much money I've found in overlooked accounts? Your bookkeeping is atrocious." The conversation derailed from there, turning into an argument about my business practices. Rebecca had been digging deep into company finances, finding what she called inefficiencies, but what I recognized as careful safety nets I'd built over the years. Steve called me the next day. "Mike, we need to talk. Rebecca's been calling our clients, introducing herself as the new CFO. When did that happen?" "It didn't," I said, feeling my blood pressure rise. "She's overstepping." "That's not all. She's been asking about your life insurance policies, company valuations, buyout procedures." "Mike, this isn't normal spouse behavior." I confronted Rebecca that night. She was in designer clothes I'd never seen before, expensive jewelry glinting at her throat. "Where did those come from?" I asked. "I bought them. With my money," she said coolly. "From my new position as company consultant." "You did authorize that salary, remember?" "Consultant, not CFO. And you're not authorized to contact clients." She stood up, facing me with cold calculation in her eyes. "I'm trying to maximize our assets, Michael. For our future. For when we adopt children of our own." "Our own? What about Emma?" She waved dismissively. "Emma has a mother. I want my own children. Real children. That's why I married you. To have the family I deserve." The mask was slipping. The warm, caring woman who'd charmed her way into our lives was revealing someone else entirely. Someone calculating, cold, focused on money and status. "We need counseling," I said firmly. Rebecca laughed, a harsh sound. "Counseling? For what? Because I'm ambitious? Because I want more than playing stepmom to your teenage daughter?" That night, I found Emma crying in her room. "She hates me, Dad. When you're not around, she barely talks to me. She said I'm in the way. I held my daughter, rage building inside me. This woman had fooled us both, played the perfect family card until she got what she wanted, access to my money and business. Now the real Rebecca was showing through, and she was nothing like the woman I'd married. The divorce papers arrived at my office on a Tuesday morning, hand-delivered by a courier. I stared at them in disbelief. I hadn't even filed yet, though I'd been meeting with my lawyer. Rebecca was suing me for divorce, claiming irreconcilable differences and demanding half of everything. The business, the house, investments, even future earnings. She wanted alimony, compensation for career sacrifices, and most incredibly, she was seeking custody rights to Emma. I called my lawyer immediately. Can she do this? Custody of Emma? She could try, he said grimly. She's been living as Emma's stepmother. Courts sometimes consider that. But you have a strong case as the biological parent. I raced home to find Rebecca packing her things, movers already loading boxes. What the hell is this? I demanded, waving the papers. She smiled coldly. Business, darling. You should understand. It's what you're good at. You want custody of Emma? You just said she's in your way. Leverage, she said simply. I know you'll give me anything to keep her. The business, the money, it's all negotiable. She picked up her designer bag, checking her phone with theatrical casualness. I have a date, she said, smirking, with my financial advisor. We're discussing my settlement options. Actually, you don't, I said, pulling out my phone. But you do have a date with the FBI. They're downstairs waiting to discuss your 3 previous marriages and the fraud charges from your ex-husbands. Her smirk vanished instantly, the bag slipping from her shoulder. What are you talking about? Your date is with federal agents. Turns out victim number 3's brother works for the Bureau. They've been investigating you for months. She stumbled backward, her carefully constructed facade crumbling. Emma appeared in the doorway, face pale. What's going on? Rebecca's demeanor shifted instantly. Oh, sweetie, your father and I are having some disagreements. Adult stuff. Don't worry. Don't you dare, I growled, stepping between them. Emma, go to your room. When Emma left, Rebecca dropped the act. I spent months playing happy family with you two. Months of pretending to care about soccer games and science projects. I deserve compensation. You're a sociopath, I said, the truth finally clear. I'm a businesswoman, she corrected. And I've done my homework. Half of your company is worth about $12 million. I'll settle for $8 million cash in the house. I'll see you in court. She laughed. Good luck explaining to the judge why you rushed into marriage, gave me access to everything, made me company consultant. It looks like a partnership, Michael. Legal and binding. The next months were hell. Rebecca's lawyers painted her as a devoted stepmother, cruelly cast aside. They had photos from the wedding, Emma's events, family dinners, all evidence of her dedication to our family. My lawyer fought back hard. We presented evidence of her financial manipulations, testimony from Steve about her overreach, Emma's statement about Rebecca's cold treatment when I wasn't around. The turning point came when my forensic accountant discovered Rebecca's hidden past. 3 previous marriages, all to wealthy businessmen, all ending in profitable divorces. Her family money was actually alimony from ex-husbands. She's a professional, my lawyer told the judge. This is her business model. Marry wealthy men with children, play the perfect stepmother, then cash out. Rebecca's confident facade cracked. The judge saw through her charade, especially after Emma testified about the emotional manipulation and neglect. In the end, Rebecca got nothing resembling her demands. A small settlement, far less than she'd spent on lawyers. No custody rights, no alimony, no claim to the business. As she left the courthouse, she hissed at me, "You ruined everything." "No," I said firmly. "You showed your true colors. Thanks for the lesson." Emma and I went home to rebuild, wiser and more cautious. The house felt empty at first, but clean somehow, like we'd exorcised a demon. "I'm sorry, Dad," Emma said that night. "I should have seen it sooner. We both got fooled," I told her. "But we're stronger now, and it's just us again, the way it should be." Trust would come harder now, but our bond was unbreakable. Rebecca had tried to destroy that and failed. In the end, love, real love, won. Life settled into a new rhythm after Rebecca's departure. Emma and I developed a stronger bond, but I'd be lying if I said we weren't both gun-shy about letting anyone new into our lives. Then, 18 months later, I met Julia at another charity event, this time for Veteran Support Services. Julia was different from the start. A pediatric nurse, she was there with her hospital's volunteer group, not working the donor tables. She had this genuine laugh that reached her eyes, and when she talked about her young patients, you could feel her compassion. "I'm not looking for anything serious," I told her up front when she agreed to coffee. "My daughter and I have been through a lot." "That's perfectly fine," she said. "I just enjoy good conversation and decent coffee." We met weekly for coffee, then occasionally for lunch. Always casual, always public. Julia never pushed for more, never asked about my money or business. She talked about her work, her garden, her book club. Emma met her by accident 3 months later when Julia and I ran into each other at the farmer's market. My daughter was polite but distant, studying Julia with careful eyes. "She seems nice," Emma said later. "But so did Rebecca at first." "I know, sweetheart. We're just friends." "Good," Emma said firmly. "Because I look her up online. She's exactly who she says she is. Boring social media, just pictures of her dog and her nieces. No red flags." I laughed. "You investigated her. Someone has to protect this family." Emma shrugged. "I learned from last time." Julia and I continued our friendship for nearly 6 months before anything changed. She never pushed, never hinted at wanting more. It was actually Emma who suggested inviting her to dinner. "She's been consistent, Dad. 6 months, no drama, no weird questions about her money. Maybe we could trust her a little." The dinner was pleasant but cautious. Julia brought dessert and flowers for Emma, chatted about normal things, and left at a reasonable hour. No attempts to stay over, no manipulation tactics. "I like that she doesn't try too hard," Emma observed. "Rebecca was always performing, you know? Julia just is." Slowly, carefully, we let Julia into our lives. She understood our boundaries, respected our caution. When I finally asked her on a real date, after 8 months of friendship, she smiled softly. "I was wondering if you'd ever ask," she said. "But I understood why you needed time." We've been dating for a year now. Julia hasn't moved in, hasn't asked about my business, hasn't tried to mother Emma. She's just been herself, steady, patient, genuine. You know what I like about her? Emma told me recently. She never asks about Mom or Rebecca. She just accepts us as we are now. Trust doesn't come easy anymore, but maybe that's not entirely bad. We've learned to build it slowly, carefully, based on actions rather than words. Sometimes the best things in life are worth waiting for. 2 years after the Rebecca disaster, I was at a business conference in Chicago when I got an unexpected text from Steve. "You need to see this. Check your email." The email contained a news article. Former healthcare executive arrested in marriage fraud scheme. The photo showed Rebecca in handcuffs, looking far less polished than I remembered. According to the article, she'd been caught running an elaborate marriage fraud operation with an accomplice, a lawyer who helped her forge documents and hide assets from previous marriages. They targeted 6 wealthy divorced men with children over 5 years. I was victim number 4. I called Steve immediately. "Did you see the list of victims?" "Yeah, Mike. Including that tech guy from Seattle. Apparently, his brother was an FBI agent. When she tried her scheme on him, they investigated her past. The FBI contacted me the next day. Agent Martinez needed my testimony about Rebecca's methods, the fake backstory, the emotional manipulation using Emma, the business infiltration tactics. Your case helped establish her pattern," Agent Martinez explained. "The forged signatures you documented were crucial evidence." I agreed to testify. Part of me wanted nothing to do with Rebecca ever again, but I thought about the other men she might target, the children she might manipulate. Emma supported my decision. "Other kids shouldn't go through what I did," she said simply. The trial was surreal. Seeing Rebecca in an orange jumpsuit, her carefully constructed image shattered, felt like closure. She avoided eye contact as I detailed her manipulation tactics, how she'd studied our vulnerabilities, played on my desire to give Emma a complete family. She never cared about my daughter, I testified. Emma was just leverage, a tool to access my assets. Rebecca's defense tried to paint her as a woman desperate for love and family, driven to extremes by past trauma. But the evidence was overwhelming. Bank records, forged documents, recorded conversations with her accomplice planning their schemes. During a break, I encountered one of our other victims, a real estate developer named James. His story mirrored mine eerily. Single father, daughter who needed a mother figure, whirlwind romance followed by financial devastation. She almost destroyed my relationship with my daughter, James said quietly. Convinced me to send her to boarding school to build character. Really, she just wanted her out of the way. Rebecca got 12 years for fraud, forgery, and conspiracy. As I led her away, she finally looked at me. No remorse in her eyes, just cold calculation, even then. Outside the courthouse, reporters asked for comments. I kept it simple. Justice was served. My daughter and I have moved on with our lives. That evening, Emma and I had dinner with Julia, who'd supported us throughout the trial. "Are you okay?" Julia asked, squeezing my hand. "Better than okay," I said. "It's really over now." Emma raised her glass of sparkling cider. "To new beginnings, and to learning from the past." We clinked glasses, a family not bound by manipulation or false promises, but by choice, patience, and genuine love. The road here had been hard, but we'd traveled it together. Rebecca had taught us valuable lessons about trust and discretion, but she'd failed to break us. If anything, we were stronger, wiser, and more appreciative of authentic relationships. As Julia laughed at one of Emma's stories about school, I realized something. Rebecca had tried to steal our future, but instead, she'd inadvertently helped us build a better one. 5 years after Rebecca's imprisonment, Emma graduated high school as valedictorian. Standing at the podium, she delivered a speech about resilience and the power of genuine relationships that brought the entire auditorium to tears. "We all face storms in life," she said confidently. "But it's not the storm that defines us. It's how we rebuild afterward." Julia sat beside me, her hand in mine, wedding rings glinting under the auditorium lights. We'd married 2 years ago in a small ceremony with just family and close friends. No grand gestures, no rushing, just 2 people who'd taken their time to build something real. Emma had been my best woman. "Dad deserves happiness," she'd said in her toast. And Julia earned our trust the old-fashioned way, with patience, consistency, and genuine care. Now, watching Emma accept her diploma, I marveled at the strong young woman she'd become. Rebecca had tried to break us, but instead, she'd forged an unbreakable bond between father and daughter. "She's going to make an incredible lawyer," Julia whispered as Emma shook the principal's hand. Following in Steve's footsteps, I nodded. My business partner had become Emma's mentor, teaching her about corporate law and protecting family businesses from predators. At the graduation party, Emma pulled me aside. "Dad, I need to tell you something." My heart skipped. Old habits die hard. She laughed, reading my expression. "Nothing bad. I got into Harvard Law. Full scholarship." I hugged her tight, tears streaming down my face. "I'm so proud of you. We survived, Dad. More than that, we thrived." Rebecca thought she could destroy us, but look at us now. She was right. Our family was stronger, wiser, and more loving than ever. The business was flourishing with new security measures in place. Julia had brought peace and authentic love into our home. Sometimes the worst experiences forge the strongest bonds. Rebecca had involuntarily given us the gift of hard-earned wisdom and an appreciation for genuine relationships. As Emma mingled with friends, Julia slipped her arm around my waist. "You did good, Michael." "We did good," I corrected, watching my daughter laugh with her friends, confident and secure in who she was. The future stretched before us, bright with possibility. Emma's Harvard graduation was a different affair entirely. Larger, more prestigious, but no less meaningful. She'd specialized in financial fraud law, turning our family's painful experience into her life's mission. "I want to help other families avoid what we went through," she'd explained during her first year. "Predators like Rebecca shouldn't get away with destroying lives." Now, for years later, she was graduating magna cum laude with job offers from top firms specializing in financial crime. But she'd chosen to work with the FBI's Financial Crimes Division instead. "The real impact happens in prosecution," she explained. "I want to put people like Rebecca away." Julia and I couldn't have been prouder. We'd had 2 more children by then, twins, adopted from foster care. At 5 years old, Thomas and Lily had brought new joy into our lives. You're giving them what I always had, Emma said, watching her siblings play. A father who protects his family and a mother who loves unconditionally. At the graduation ceremony, I thought about the journey that had brought us here. Rebecca's betrayal could have destroyed us. Instead, it had revealed our strength and led us to build something better. Emma's valedictorian speech focused on the power of truth and justice. Financial predators rely on shame and silence, she declared. But when we speak up, when we share our stories, we take away their power. The applause was thunderous. In the audience, I spotted several familiar faces. Men from our support group, Safeguard Hearts, which had grown into a national organization. Emma served on the board, using her legal expertise to help victims navigate recovery. After the ceremony, as we gathered for family photos, Emma pulled me aside. "Dad, remember when Rebecca said I was just in her way? That I wasn't the family she wanted? How could I forget?" Emma smiled. She was wrong. I wasn't in her way. She was in ours. Look what we built without her. A real family. A meaningful legacy. True happiness. She was right. Our story wasn't about the woman who tried to break us. It was about the strength we found in each other, the love we chose to nurture, and the future we built from the ashes of betrayal. Sometimes the best revenge really is living well.